Thanks everyone for coming. We appreciate it. Just got off the practice field, had a good day today, and I think our kids and our team is really excited to begin conference play. It was a great win for us last week. A lot of kids got a chance to play, which was important for our team and for the morale of our team. But all of our sights, really from the end of that game till now, are set on going up to Hartford and playing the Connecticut Huskies. As we look at them, I think you see a really potent team. A team with a great head coach and Coach Diaco. We had a chance to go against Coach Diaco last year when he was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. His defense at UConn's playing just the way they did at Notre Dame. Really good run defense. Play great in the red zone. Really, really just kind of suffocates you, which is kind of what they did to us last year. So have a lot of respect for what he's getting done, as a head coach and the way he's kind of building that team in his image. And I look at this team. I told our team, they're gonna erupt, and we're expecting them to erupt on Saturday and come after us, and it's gonna be a 4-quarter battle like all the games against UConn have ever been. I mean, they've lost to BYU, nationally ranked team at home. They lost to Boise, another national power. They lost in a monsoon. I mean, this is a good football team with outstanding players. I think they had more players on the first team all conference team than we did going into the season. So, 2 of the last 5 games against them have gone to overtime. Last year came down to the very end where we had a chance to win the game, didn't. One was the replay with Bruce Francis out of bounds. So 4 of those 5 or 6 games now have come down to really the very end of the game within a score. So we're preparing ourselves for an absolute battle, and we hope we can hang in there with them. As you look at their players, Jeremy Davis obviously hurt us a lot last year. He's as good a receiver as there is in the conference, if not the best. I mean, he's a big physical guy that can go down the field, catch the football. I had a chance to meet him at media day. It sounds like he's what college football is all about. He's a tremendous person, student, in the community. I mean, he does it all, and he's a great wide receiver. They have Chandler Whitmer, who he's back as a starting quarterback now, and he can move. He's athletic. He can make things happen against Boise in the second half. That offense got moving. He was able to make some plays, and he brought them back last week, so they were within an onside kick of winning that game. So, we expect Chandler to play well for them, and they really, they're built kind of, they're built kind of the way UConn has been over the last couple of years. I mean, they're going to come out, they're going to try to pound you. They have a big physical offensive line. This is the biggest offensive and defensive line we'll see all year. And so for our guys, we're a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker. That's how we built ourselves. It's always a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge for us to be able to, withstand the physicality of who and what they are. So on defense, defense is their strength. They're going to play great defense. They're going to play great special teams. I mentioned the defensive line. Cam Penny is a nose tackle. He's from here in Pennsylvania. Adeyemi, they've got a bunch of defensive tackles. They all look about the same. They're all about 6'2", 6'3", 300 pounds. They'll 2-gap you. They'll play 1-gap. They're really good. They've got really good linebackers, run, stop, and safeties. And they have Byron Jones, who was first team all conference. I think he's probably a first or second round pick at field corner. So he presents a real challenge for us. So between Davis and Jones, that's 2 of the marquee players in our league. So I think our kids are excited to have a chance to play against those guys. And just the message for me is that this team's going to try to test our will and physicality. I mean, they're one of those teams. They come out and they just try to pound you and pound you and pound you. And they play 3 or 4 running backs. They're going to keep running the football, and wait for you to make a mistake. So that's what they did last year. We made a mistake. We threw a pick. They won the game. And different staff, but still the same mentality. So we're getting ourselves ready for a real battle, and I think our kids are excited about it. We have to stop the run. We have to play great on special teams. We can't turn the ball over. So with that, let's see what questions you guys have. I think the biggest thing on our end is that our kids understand now what it means to be in a conference. It's kind of, we've gone from the MAC, no conference, to the MAC, to the Big East, to the American, to what is now they're starting to understand the league. And what you want is in a conference, you're trying to win the conference, right? And so the non-conference games are great. I told the team after the Delaware State game, I said, don't let anybody rob this game from you. Don't let anybody tell you, well, it was just Del State. We've had those moments where we haven't gone out and played well. We went out there and played a team, and we played well. So that being said, now this is a conference game, so I think our kids are ready. They know who UConn is. They know the type of team they are, and they know what happened last year and all the years before that. So I'm pretty sure we'll be ready.
Have you talked to them about, I know you said you try not to focus too much on last year, but it's kind of a cool rivalry for you guys, even before you ended up in the same league together with Bruce getting his foot down and then the monsoon game and all that stuff. Do they kind of get a sense of this has become a rivalry before you guys even ended up in the league together?
Yeah, I think for us, a lot of our kids know their kids. They know kids on their team. There's kids that we've recruited that are playing there. I'm sure maybe they recruited some of our kids. You know, we don't have many kids from Connecticut right now, but Connecticut's been really good to us over the years. It's certainly been good to us right now, and that Tyler's an outstanding player, and Jalen Robinson will be. But you know, I tell our kids, hey, this is the history of it. It's always been a close game. It's always going to come down to the end. It's going to come down to the last play. But I don't focus on, you know, last year. I don't talk, hey, this was what happened last year. They remember that. I'm very kind of process driven. I'm worried about what happens today, what happens tonight and tomorrow. So I think they know it. I think they feel it. And, you know, we have to just really focus on ourselves, because everything that we're doing right now, good or bad, is really our own doing.
How much more prepared do you think this defense is to play the schedule this year than maybe last year?
Yeah, significantly. I mean, we played, you know, in the first 3 games, we're kind of playing like 1s and 1As. I mean, we're not even talking about the second-team defense anymore. We're playing 22 guys, which in today's college football you have to. Our kids are significantly bigger and stronger. I think they've done a great job in the weight room. Jeremy has of getting our kids to be able to play. And, you know, you look back at last year, you know, Kaiser Terry's a defensive end as a true freshman last year. This year he's a defensive tackle. Shreve Finch is line. You know, we've moved guys all around trying to get them in the right spots where we can be fast and physical. So I think Phil, you know, our defensive coordinator, has done a great job. He didn't change anything. He didn't panic. He just said, hey, when the kids are ready, we'll be good. And then we just grew them up in the weight room, and you know, they're coming. And they're not there yet, but they're getting better and better and better, which I'm proud of.
A lot of learning moments last year. What does you come as lead, and it was one of the teams you came in here and said you're disappointed that they went out and played their football in the first half and then just stopped playing. I don't know.
That was a real turning point for us. No, I'll answer really candidly. I thought that was a really real turning point for us. We went out that Monday after that Connecticut game, and we scrimmaged out here for 2 hours. There was a game that Friday. That was Memphis. And my point to the team was, you know, you don't take winning lightly. You don't take losing lightly. You don't go out to a game and say, oh, we've got kind of won this and be happy. We just want to play to the end. So we scrimmaged that Monday, and then we went out and we won that Memphis game. You know, and really since that Connecticut game, we've won 3 of 4. I'm still not happy about the Navy game. I won't be happy for a long time about that. But you know, I thought, I don't mind winning, losing. I just want us to appreciate every opportunity we have to go play football. And that UConn game last year, we did not. And since then, I feel like they've at least tried to. And so our team's matured since then.
Do you think you guys are learning how to finish right now?
Yeah, our kids are taking it very seriously. You know, we haven't allowed a fourth quarter point in 3 games or 4 games. 3 games? I'm not very smart. 3 games? 4 games. We haven't allowed a point in 4 games, in Memphis, and then the 3 games this year. And really, the points at UConn were on offense. So our kids are understanding, you know, we're going to play like crazy. We're not going to panic and then hope that, you know, we can win it in the end. And they're starting to see evidence of it by the fact that, you know, we're holding people scoreless in the fourth quarter. We're running the ball better in the fourth quarter. Even the Vanderbilt game and the Delaware State game, our starters were not playing in the fourth quarter. You know, they were holding the 2s and the 3s, you know, accountable to, hey, keep them out of the end zone. You know, we want to shut this team out. So that prepares us hopefully for Connecticut, where, you know, I'm anticipating the game going to overtime because it has so many times, you know, and you know, we have to play well at the end to even have a chance.
This is kind of winning 3 of the last 4. I know you don't like to go back to games in the past, but you have to kind of look at that Memphis game as almost, you guys played pretty dynamic, you know, special team. Is that kind of like the springboard game to what you move forward into now?
I really think it was that, you know, that second half of Connecticut into that Monday, and then they responded going into the Memphis week. You know, I think this game last year was really pivotal for us, and it'll be really pivotal for us again this year because we have to prove that we've learned from that game last year. We have to prove that we're going to go out and be as physical as they were. Like, you know, we lost the Connecticut game, not to take any credit away from them. They made plays and we didn't. It was cold and we didn't really want to play the second half. And, you know, and that was, when I say we, I mean we. You know, I mean, every coach in there was held accountable. I was held accountable, and our players were held accountable. And since then, we haven't done that. So, you know, we'll see what we do Saturday. We're going to go out there and be physical, fly around. I don't really care if we win or lose. I want to play Temple football. That's our brand. And if we don't play that brand, then we're letting ourselves down.
How important is it? Obviously, you know, you've got another bye coming up. I mean, it's the opportunity to go into that bye 3-1 and just talk about how potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. You know, for me, the 3-1, you know, that's not as important to me. You know, I mean, I'll always focus on the 1 instead of the 3. I mean, I just know that you know, when we play a team that's physical, there's not a lot of physical teams left in football. You know what I mean? And when you play a team like Connecticut that believes in physicality, I don't want to go up there and get out physical. And they're gonna come right at our neck, and they're gonna try to out physical us, and we had better be prepared for that. And so to me, it's going to be a test. It's as big a test as we'll have for the rest of the years. Are they going to go out there and dominate the line of scrimmage, knock us back off the ball, not allow us to run the ball and out-physical us? And so if that happens, then the bye week's going to be focused on us getting physical again. And if it doesn't, then we can maybe rest up a little bit because, we've had a tough stretch here in terms of just a lot of football. So this will be, like I said, this will be a test of who's the most physical team, and I know how physical they are. I have a lot of respect for how physical they play. I saw it live last year. I saw these kids that are playing live last year. They're a big, physical, strong group.
And this league has been driven by quarterbacks and football. I think we've already seen it with Sean. We saw it with Keel in his opening. Where is PJ relative to
It's funny. PJ's. I know he's not happy with the way he's playing right now. He's kind of, he's pressing a little bit. And I said, to him the other day, I said, listen, I'm as brutally honest as anybody. I said, bro, when you're 64% and you've thrown 6 touchdowns and you're not happy with the way you play, that means you have high expectations, which is great, right? I'm just upset with three interceptions and 2 of them being needless. The one in the end zone, guys, that he threw on Saturday that came off his hand wrong. I can live with balls that come off your hand wrong, right? What I don't want is just we're going to throw the ball up and let the other team fair catch it. So. I think he just isn't comfortable yet, and maybe part of that's my fault. I should have maybe let him play a little longer in the Vanderbilt game, let him play a full game, get his rhythm. Navy, we didn't kind of get going until the end, I was really proud of him to play on that hurt ankle. He's hurt, and I was proud of him to go out there in the first half and play the whole first half, and it was pretty clear we were up, and he didn't want to come out. He wanted to keep playing, so, I got after him pretty hard when he threw that pick. But I just don't think he's kind of got his rhythm yet. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to find it. And my point is, I said, stop trying to find it, and let it find you. Just go play. Last year he didn't know anything, right? So last year he'd say, go out there. He kind of knew the play, and he'd go out there and he'd just play. And now he's trying to do everything right. And I just said, just go play, man. It's just a game.
You had vertical threats last year. This year, maybe you're starting to develop them again.
Yeah, we have some young kids that are going to be really, Derek Thomas is going to get down the field as well as anybody, and some other guys. We just haven't been able to get it to him yet, and people have done a good job of taking that away from us and forcing us to try to run the football and do some things. So Jalen, I think, has been dynamic, getting him the ball underneath. He hit the over route, which was semi-vertical, but we haven't had the level of explosiveness that we had last year. Part of that on Saturday, to be quite honest with you, is I have a lot of respect for Coach Blunt, and I didn't that game got bad early on the special teams and on the D. It's hard to play off. Our guys were running wind sprints trying to get themselves loose because it was 21-0 before the offense really went out there and played. So we weren't going to go out there and just throw bombs away and embarrass a really good football team that should have won the week before, right? That wasn't going to happen. So we went out there and we tried to methodically work on some things that we need to work on, running the football, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have let PJ go out there and gunsling it and feel good about himself. But I feel good about where he is if he's healthy, and he's not healthy yet. But if he can get healthy for this Connecticut game, I think he'll play well. And if not, Connor played last year, and he's practicing at a pretty high level, and Connor will play well.
I know Colin is starting to get kind of close. When he does get there, how much of this would he be ready to play with familiarity with the playbook and his potential as an escape valve for PJ? How much can that potential be?
I just haven't seen enough of him yet because everything he's done has been like, drills. I haven't seen him play enough, but I can tell he's extremely talented. He knows what he's doing. He's a football guy. He knows we were putting some kids in at tight end on Saturday at the end of the game that that just practice on our scout team that don't really know the plays. And I said, hey, Colin, make sure you go over the plays, and he can sit there and tell them what to do. So Colin's really a football guy. So I expect him to be a real factor once he's healthy. I don't think it'll be this week. I think he's close. He practiced today. We'll see how he was afterwards. I'm expecting Tulsa, and maybe something great would happen. He could play this week, but I'm expecting him to be able to play Tulsa week.
Can you talk about Sam Benjamin's evolution now from wide D-back and the impact on his?
Well, I think Sam's extremely talented, as physically talented as anybody, and I think it's a testament to the fact that Francis. I gave him credit in the press conference that Francis is really, really pushing him to be good, and the kids had a good attitude about it. He went over there, and like I said, we were working on just our punt team, and he was on the scout team punt block, and he runs in there and he blocks one. I'm yelling and screaming, do it again. He blocks it again, and he goes out there every day on the scout team punt block. And we haven't called a punt block yet this year. Everything's been returned, trying to get the ball back, let Khalif rush, and he just kept blocking them. So I said, okay, we'll block one this game, guys, and he did it, and he's. I think he's going to be a force. He's going to play more special teams this week. He ran down the kickoff, made the tackle, and eventually we're trying to work him in to be the third or fourth corner. We've got 4 corners right now that are playing a bunch that we like, and he's going to be in that mix, in that rotation. We played 4 corners at a time on Saturday because of the 5 wide. So, it won't happen this week, but moving forward.
How much does that mean to you? Because he broke his collarbone twice, and I know special teams really, and I guess on any player can be exposed, he's really throwing the body around him. I guess he doesn't have any fear of getting hurt.
I just think Sam wants to play. I think he's got that. Eventually in our lives, we're caught up. Get to college, you're caught up in all these things, and he's maturing now, and he's talented, and he's got a coach that doesn't let him do anything but at 100%. And he's starting to hit his stride. And so his best days are way ahead of him. He could be a really, really good corner and strong special teams player. The big thing I've been saying to our team is, everybody talks about their process. It shows that our process works. Like sometimes kids will say to me, or parents will say to me, or friends will say to me, "Hey, I'm just not getting an opportunity." Sam's opportunity. You get an opportunity every day in practice. And Sam went out there in practice. He didn't worry about what string he was. He went out there and he went out and blocked the punts. And next thing you know, he's blocking punts in the game. And now I'm saying, hey, let's put him in there, do more. So we always try to sell that to our kids. And Sam's a great example of, as Bill Belichick says, that the more you can do, the more you'll do, right? And he's going to play a lot more.
How can running backs look?
I have to watch the tape today. I mean, they're running hard, they're playing hard, and it's just, we just need to, block a little bit better and get a seam and go,
Is there any update on Xavier Williams at all?
He's just out for a while. I don't know when he'll be back.
Coach, is it a big challenge jumping from non-conference to conference games for your team?
It's unique in that sometimes there's a little bit of history there. Like, you start to get to know the team and what to expect. When we play these non-conference teams, like playing Vanderbilt was, we were strangers in a strange land. I had no idea what to expect. But at least with Connecticut, we know the people, right? We can turn on last year's tape and see our matchup versus, said player. We can watch, ourselves trying to cover Jeremy Davis. So you have some familiarity, and obviously, Coach Diaco's new, but he's one of the top defensive coordinators in the country for a reason. He runs his defense at a high level, and you watch UConn; they're doing the same things they did at Notre Dame, and you're trying to figure out where they're coming from, and I mean, he does a great job. So I think the conference play can be hard in terms of you have to kind of amp it up a little bit in your minds, but it's also nice to have some familiarity. We play those guys every year.
Actually, Chris was telling us that you guys gave the game ball to Ed because his father passed away. Can you talk about what his family has meant, from a football perspective to this area, and then beyond that, he's just been a constant thread.
Yeah.
Program and has always
I'll try to do it without getting emotional because I didn't make it happen in the press game. But Ed Foley, people talk about Temple made and all. I mean, Ed's been here for I guess 8 years now, 7 years, and he's done whatever's been asked of him. Tight end coach, recruiting coordinator. Steve comes in. He's director of football operations. He helps with the building of this addition. He's every man to every person. There's no more. There can't be any more well-respected family in South Jersey than the Foleys. His brother Glenn, his brother Kevin, Ed. They're just stalwarts in South Jersey, and Ed's meant a lot to this program. A lot of the former players come back just to see Ed, and that already started with his father, who was just a tremendous man who loved sports. Played quarterback at Boston College, and he's been sick for a while. And Ed just goes to the hospital at night. I don't know when he sleeps, and was just coming to practice every day. He never lets anyone know what's going on. We lost the Navy, and Ed went to see his dad, and his dad said, his dad was on his deathbed. His dad said, I don't know what you're doing here. You need to get back in the office and get this thing fixed. He's more concerned about Temple football. So his father passed away on Thursday. Ed missed a little bit of time on Saturday. Wouldn't listen. He just kept coming into work every day. He would go, wouldn't sleep at night. He worked all last week. And I just think, our job is, everyone talks about their job is to influence young, but here's our job. Our job, in my mind, is to teach young men how to be men. And the way you be a man is you do what you say you're going to do. You're responsible. You're accountable. You can be trusted. And so my point to our players was, is anybody more of a man than this guy? He's taking care of his family at night, and he's there every day for our kids. So I just thought, him, his family, his mom, they all deserve to have that game ball. His mom really deserved to have that game ball. His mom came to the game. I mean, what an unbelievable family. So it was special for me, and I know for our players. And then they did what was the dance that they did afterwards?
Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah, you gonna do it for us, John, or no? Anybody want to do it for us? No. Anybody? John? So that's just who they are. So that was a nice moment for our players. And again, I think our players have a lot of respect. I know they have a lot of respect for Ed, and to have Evan Rodriguez at the game and Keith Brown, guys who played for Coach Foley, that was all special for us.
Has he been funeralized yet?
Yep. Yes, he was. Yep. And I just make sure I say, because he's a former, he had a memorial service here in South Jersey that we all went to, and then he was last weekend was buried up in Boston, which is where he's from, and Coach Adazio and his whole staff showed up. So I think that's a lot of credit to who Steve is as well. So.
How about one thing?
Yeah, we got to end on a high note. You can't maybe end there, right? So let's go to another question, please. I'm in the.
Their quarterback situation. I know it's a little strange, but their quarterback situation. Is it interesting to you how that played out with the concussion situation, and knowing what's going on in football today?
Well, I just know Casey Cochran, and his father was a legendary coach in Connecticut. And Casey's a winner, and he was, a great player in high school. And so I'm sure he, wanted to play as long as he could. And the minute he couldn't play, it only makes sense that he transitions into coaching. And I think that's a credit to Coach Diaco and all the people at UConn that, they're not forcing kids to keep playing or talk, hey, do what's right for you and for your future. So, and they have a great quarterback in Chandler Whitmer, a guy who's played a lot of football. He got behind the 8 ball a little bit last year for whatever reason, but this guy's won. He's played, and so he's athletic. He's a senior, and then they have Timmy Boyle, who was committed to Boston College for a long time as a freshman, going into his freshman year, and played a little bit as a true freshman last year. So. They have a good quarterback situation, but I think nowadays, as parents, all of us, if your kid is not going to be healthy, then you don't play. We have more kids retire for other things than for concussions. Every once in a while we might have that, but when it comes down to your back, your neck, if you're not healthy, don't play.
You mentioned yesterday that regarding Tyler, that sometimes the better you get as a player, sometimes your numbers might go down as teams scheme against you, or other guys start performing better around you. Is that maybe what's going on with him right now? You kind of assess just where he is as a player, because we always got on and say tackles aren't enough. You got to do this, you got to do that. Where is he now?
And when you say, and I don't mean this I don't always know what's going on. I don't listen to anything really other than myself. So when you say what's going on, just in terms of are his numbers down or?
No, just not only that, but like you guys go out and shut them out.
Right.
Saturday, I think you only made 3 tackles.
Right.
But you've always said to him, it's not necessarily about the tackles, it's how you shut them out.
Right. I thought he played outstanding on Saturday. That's why it's me. I don't even really kind of notice those things because, anytime you have a good team, your numbers, and I'm not saying we're a good team yet, but your numbers start to go down because you play halves of football, right? As opposed to when you're not very good on defense and you play 85 plays because you can't stop your team, your tackle numbers go up. And when you're playing pretty well on defense in some games, you instead of playing 85 plays, you play 40 plays, and so your numbers go down. But I thought Tyler played really well on Saturday. First 2 games, I think he was still kind of figuring out, where he is this year, but I thought he played well on Saturday, and I know he'll be excited to go back home, and I'm really pleased with Tyler. He's become our defensive leader. He's a guy that everybody listens to, and we have some other guys, Matt Ioannidis, Tavon, they're doing it as well, but Tyler's really the guy that can reach everyone. All right, guys, thank you very much.